What nobody knew except for me is I was struggling with 23 years of addiction. I began to reach out for other things, massage parlors, escort services, until God issued a warrant for my soul. And I experienced what I can only call his terrifying grace of complete exposure in 24 hours.
If you are struggling and fighting through something you don't want to be, my question is not, what are you not going to do? My question is, what are you doing?
I would not change the pain, the absolute torture, the hurt, the loss that I went through. It was hurt, it was awful, but at the end of the day, I could finally see clear.
There are things that have happened to me that would not have happened if I didn't go through that.
Jesus did not come to make bad people good. He came to make dead people alive.
Blaine Bartel,
Carl Lentz.
welcome to Lights On.
It's good to be here, brother.
It's amazing to have you. Addiction, exposure, rebuilding, hope that transcends despair.
Right.
That's the conversation that we're going to dig into. For those who may not know, can you give me a snapshot of the road as you've known, like just maybe some context for what your life used to look like, maybe what transpired, and then a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we're going to get into this. But I want people to know, some of the background and context.
Okay, well, I'll hit the high points or the low points, but yes, I'm Canadian. Grew up in Calgary. Came to Jesus when I was 16, on fire for God. Felt a call to the ministry when I was 18, and I met a guy named Willie George, a pastor in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So packed up, moved my wife and I to Oklahoma. We had this passion for student ministry. We started somehow on a very shoestring budget a television program for young people. We kind of deemed it like the Saturday Night Live for Christians. And it had sketches and, back in the 80s and 90s, like Christian rock bands, DC Talk, all that kind of stuff. So it blew up, Carl. I mean, it just, thousands of churches started subscribing. All the Christian networks began to show it. And so my life blew up. And very quickly, I was like 26, and I was traveling all over the world, speaking at events and conferences, recognized by a lot of teenagers. And I was just living my dream because that's what I wanted to do. And that just continued, for a couple decades. We eventually started a student ministry called 180, and it became the largest student ministry in at least in America. And then started the church after that in Dallas and Frisco, and it was blowing up. But what nobody knew except for me is I was struggling with 23 years of addiction that started with pornography. Slowly over those 23 years began to grow in my life like the monster that lust is, and I began to reach out for other things, chat lines, massage parlors, eventually reaching out like for escort services, things like that. And all the while, simultaneously hating myself, depressed, suicidal, but just trying to keep my head above water. And of course, never felt like I could tell anybody, at least in my church world, because it meant immediate expulsion, loss of everything. And it was more than just me. It was my family. It was my kids. And so I just kept stupidly trying to win that battle alone until 2010, 15 years ago. I say, God issued a warrant for my soul, and I experienced what I can only call his terrifying grace of complete exposure in 24 hours. And he set it up. It was almost like he said, Blaine, I've given you every chance, and I had so many opportunities to privately repent.
Yeah.
And now I'm I'm issuing a warrant for your soul. And everything came out. It was on the, front page of the Dallas Morning News, all the Christian magazines and all of that. And so, yeah, I just lost everything. Lost my marriage, lost relationship with my sons. I, of course, lost all of my career and nearly my life. And so everything ended 15 years ago, and it has been a horrendously difficult climb out of that grave, especially the first, I would say, 5 to 7 years of just, is there life again after complete death and loss at age 50? So that's the short version.
Did you find that there's life after that kind of destruction?
Slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sent to rehab, did 30 days in a sexual rehabilitation center. I met with a guy named Dr. Ralph Earl, and we were sitting across the table like this. He was 79, and he's seen it all. He said, Blaine, tell me your story. And when I got done, he looked at me and said, Blaine, you are the poster child for sexual addiction. He said, I've never seen anyone that has kept it a secret as long as you have, nor have I heard stories like your stories. And then he said this, he said, I doubt you'll ever get free. And I just written a check for $30,000 for 30 days.
Right.
And I said, what do you mean I'll never get
Do you have a discount?
Yeah.
When the disclaimer is this isn't going to work.
Right. And he said, the reason I'm telling you that is it will be so hard.
Yeah.
And most men don't have it. They may have it for a month or two or even a year, but I doubt you'll ever get free and stay free. And that didn't motivate me. It wasn't like, I'm going to prove it. I thought, well, I don't know how, and honestly, it was hard. I got back after that 30 days. I didn't feel like anything had changed in my life. I had tools and I knew why I was doing it, some of the things I was doing, but I didn't feel free. And I went to 4 groups a week, 12-step groups a week, still wasn't getting free. And Carl, it wasn't till about 1.5 years later where I had made progress and I wasn't doing a lot of the stupid things that I used to be doing. But by this time, I'd lost my marriage and was just working secular work. And I was driving from Kansas to Tulsa. And brother, I wasn't praying. There was no worship music on. I was just thinking. And I heard these words, Blaine, I'm not going to give you a recovery. I'm calling you into resurrection. And I had no idea what that meant. But I got home and I opened up the scripture. And I found John chapter 11, and literally the Lord gave me 7 things that would propel new life and resurrection in my life from the story of Lazarus. Wow. And it changed everything. And I began to just go on this journey about what does resurrection actually mean for me? How could God take this man that has died worthy of death, and actually have life again and what that would look like? And it started with a complete re-seeing of Jesus, re-encountering Jesus. And if there was one truth that changed everything, it was Jesus did not come to make bad people good. He came to make dead people alive. That my faith, my Christianity was not a moral equation, which I had asserted it to be for so many decades. That it was an equation of life, that if life could come on the inside, radical heart change could happen on the inside, that behavior would begin to change legitimately for good on the outside. And by God's grace, and I always add this, his really good community, I've been walking in freedom ever since. And it's a beautiful thing. And when I say freedom, I don't mean that there's no potential that I'd ever fall again, or that I've got this kind of swagger. That it is contrite, it is sacred, it is holy, it is filled with grace. It is getting up every day and realizing without him, I'll fall again. But there's a grace today that wasn't there before.
Yeah, it's beautiful. When you said in my words, or what you just said, when you reconnected with Jesus, I found that to be true as well for me. I found that the way, it's almost like a leaning. I've tried to explain to somebody, like the way I leaned into Jesus pre-life change is very different than the way that I lean into my relationship with Jesus now on this side. And I don't know if I could have found it without what I went through. Have you found that some of the things that you see now clearly, either of us would never say we would want that to happen, but there are things that have happened to me that would not have happened if I didn't go through that?
Yeah.
Do you see some of that?
Yeah. Well, when we were having coffee the other day, I thought about that a lot after. I would not change the pain, the absolute torture, the hurt, the loss that I went through for anything other than the fact that it rippled to people that I loved.
Yeah.
I'd never want my ex-wife, Kathy, my 3 sons to ever experience the pain that I caused again. But if it would only be inflicted on me in that moment of my life, it was God's only answer for my soul. It was what I would call hell, which my best definition of hell is benevolent fire, that God's benevolent, destructive fire began to burn away everything that needed to be burned away. And it was hurt. It was awful. It was painful. There was so much loss, but at the end of the day, I could finally see clear.
Yeah.
And I finally realized what life was and what Jesus was asking of my soul and what a resurrected life looked like. And I grew up in a, much like you, a very charismatic Pentecostal environment. And Carl, I don't ever remember being in any church that I ever grew up in that celebrated or acknowledged Good Friday. We just passed right by the cross. We couldn't wait to get to Resurrection Sunday. And there is no resurrection without death.
Yeah.
That you have to go to the cross. You have to actually take those words of Jesus that says, deny yourself, take up your cross and follow me. Yeah. And you'll have life. The finding of your life is in the giving away. And that was the loss. It was finally giving up Blaine Bartel and his ego and his ambitions and who he was and just saying, Jesus, it's not about me anymore. I am going to carry that cross, and I'm going to do it the rest of my life, whether anything good ever happens again. I
think I found that when it comes to death, like when you go through something like this, you can let it be a death or you can try to revive it. And I see people sometimes, they're like, it's like, bro, you want to let that thing go. Like you're CPRing your horrible broken life for what? Yeah. And I got maybe the same kind of help and wisdom you got in that somebody was like, let that thing die. And it is awful to watch it go. But if it's gone, something new can form. And I try to tell guys, I know you and I spend a lot of our time trying to lovingly help people understand, but God has done you a solid by giving you a vent here. Feel free to let that run its course. But a lot of guys, they just will get a little bit antsy and they'll try to save face, try to save reputation, try to save something, not understanding that, I mean, you just laid out, and we'll talk about addiction for a second, but I've said it on this pod before, like the guys who take a couple weeks off, couple months off, forget about ministry, just a man that gets caught living in lies. It took you your whole life to develop that ability. Yeah. So to think that you can have a couple of good weeks, I've changed. Right. I'm praying more. I'm reading the word more. I'm going to get back into church. I'm going to be honest with my wife. Brother, you're lying to yourself. Yeah. There are things that have to die, and you have to go to a place where someone can help you kill those things. Yes. And so to hear you say that, it resonates deeply.
It's the difference between resuscitation and resurrection, right? Like, yeah.
Yes. Why do pastors fall like they fall?
Well, they fall hard because they've been holding on to it for so long, because they don't feel like they can tell anybody. You know, every guy that I'm meeting with today has been holding on to their secrets 10, 15, 20 years.
Decades. I was a decade guy.
Yeah. So they, when it does come out, there's a lot, and there's a lot of past. So there's so much that is tied to our income. That is the problem. When I at 50 years of age, what was I going to go do?
Right.
Like, I'm a good speaker. I'm a good marketeer in the church world. Well, that doesn't translate very many places. And so we desperately, in order to stay alive and make a living for our family, we try to get back into what we've done before quickly. And I did. The best thing I did is I submitted to 3 men that I trusted. And I said, you guys, I will not make any major decisions without you speaking into those decisions for at least a minimum of 3 years. And if you have any inclination of no, I won't do it. And there were several times, 6 months, a year down the road, I had these ideas about I was ready, and they all 3 said, no, you're not. No, you think you are. Blaine, there's work yet to be done. Thank God I had men like that. So, we have to be careful about the difference between repenting and rebranding. And repentance is a longer term. It is not just saying I'm going to change. It is proving change over a period of time, a new allegiance to a new way of living, to a new way of doing things, to regaining trust. And we try to rebrand. We try to pivot. I'll do this now. It'll be a little bit different. And that's why when I saw you, because I followed your story, I'm a Hillsong guy. I used to speak at Hillsong when I was a big youth guy in the 80s and 90s. So I've always loved the Hillsong story. Hillsong did a lot for me. I remember going to the church and just, wow, this is life. There was this freedom, so many people coming to Jesus in Sydney, and I'd never seen anything like it in America. So because of that, I didn't know you, but I followed New York, and I followed your story, and of course, all the things that came out. And so I didn't know how long it had been, 5 years, but when I saw you, I just welled up with tears, because I know from my own experience what you've been through, and what I have so loved and respected is that you didn't rebrand. Brother, you could have gone to any city in this country within 6 months and had 1,000 people showing up.
Yeah.
You didn't, man. You didn't. You fought for your marriage and your children and your own soul. And I, for one, have profound love and respect for that, and for you, and for your family.
Thank you. Thank you. Lights On is proud to partner with God Behind Bars, restoring, rebuilding, reclaiming lives. If there's ever an organization for you to check out that you want to support, get involved with, if you want to see people come to life again when society has said life is over, this organization is for you. GodBehindBars.com. Check them out. There are ways to get involved, ways to give, ways to support. Maybe you'll even find that this is a passion for you to bring life to people who are literally behind bars, and you can make a difference today. So God Behind Bars, check them out online. We love partnering with them, and they could use you. Never know. Check it out today. I haven't heard that phrase that way, repent or rebrand. And I remember a low-hanging fruit criticism, the moment we even decided to live, you hear people inferring certain things. And there is a moment in your own reconstruction where you just have to walk away from the judgments, because people can't know when they say things like, are you really repentant? how on earth would you know if there is fruit, but it's such a deep, holy work that you're actually in the midst of a repentant change when you look at those kind of criticisms with a little bit more grace. Because it's like, you cannot move this needle for me. Like, I'm going to live, but to rebrand is to replay.
Yes.
The hurt, the pattern, and we see it all the time. And I appreciate your kind words. And I feel like there was two camps when I was going through my thing. It was one camp was, I shouldn't say there's two camps. There's a couple people that were on the train of you gotta die and relive. And then there's a couple people like, bro, we need you back. We need you back. We don't have time for all this 2-3 year thing. Like, man, you're human.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Like, and I couldn't believe how strong that pull was from people to like, and I remember thinking, not in a million years, but now I see it differently. Because I used to see guys who would fall, they get up, next, 6 months later, here I am again. Here's my wife. She's sorry. I'm sorry. Back to the cause.
Yeah.
And you hit it on the head. It's money.
Yeah.
Often it's money. And I have grace for those guys because it is hard. Like, we don't have a system that is preparing pastors for anything other than pastoring. And that's one of those things. That's a different combo we can have another day about how jacked up this system is. But that's why guys perpetuate it, because what are they going to do? Yeah. And there's a couple arrogant guys who think that their gifts are going to transfer. They're wrong. Right. But when you come over on this side of the tracks, by the grace of God, we do, but it's not what you think. It's not like, hey, people, especially speakers, they forget that you think you're a great preacher. You may or may not be. One thing is for sure, you don't have an accurate view of your gifting. Yeah. Because you have people that have signed up to like you. Yeah. You might not be who you think you are. Yeah, exactly. I'm a great speaker. No, you preach to an audience that is paid to like you. Yes. Literally. And it's just something you have to hold. Yeah. And so I think when you talk about that scary chasm, tell me this, what was the loneliest moment after you finally told the truth?
Well, as you know, there were several, but I think the worst that it got was after my wife and I really worked to repair our marriage and try to rehabilitate it. She was so gracious. We stayed together in the same house for a year, and we just kind of had a conversation after about a year, and she just said, Blaine, I can't do it. My trust just can't get there again. She literally said that if you could just be my friend and live here, that'd be fine. But so after my divorce, I'm alone. I'm living alone in an apartment, very little contact with my sons, not a lot of people taking my calls. I sent a letter to my pastor of 25 years. So my mentor, my pastor, I'd not heard from him. And I knew he was upset, rightfully so, but I sent him a letter, and I apologized. I asked him for an opportunity to meet and publicly with him apologize and repent. And he sent me a letter back and said, no, I don't want to meet with you. I'm not even sure I believe that you're even sincere. So at the moment, I was really upset, but it felt lonely. Yeah. It felt like the man that had invested everything in my life, that I called a father of my faith, would not give me 5 seconds. And I felt like I don't even exist anymore in the church, in my world. And when I look back at that today, because of this man's grace and goodness and truthfulness, we are in a beautiful relationship today. But I think, Carl, there was something deeper that I didn't even recognize in me, that was not just wanting to restore our relationship, but almost like, if I can just get back in good graces with him, maybe I can revive my career,
Right.
my past.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought that. I didn't say that, but I think there was a current
Probably in
beneath
there,
that
yeah.
of that's my safe place. That's where things started. That's where things could
Yeah.
really maybe take off again. And so he actually turned me down 3 times over the course of several years until finally he said, let's go to coffee. And we wept, and we, it was confessional, it was beautiful, it was prayerful.
Yeah. And
there was complete restoration. And by that time, God had so gutted my soul of any other impulses than just to have a restoration of a relationship, that's all that really mattered.
People ask me, about my experience with Hillsong.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've changed the way I hold it. Like there is clearly, I do understand when there's lies and there's duplicity and the impact is big. I understand that. I think I thought that it would be bad, but I never planned on being completely shunned and cut off by my church. I figured, I get it. Like, hey, I got to pay. I had a big platform, big fall, and I own that. I get that. I just didn't think I'd get kicked out of my own house.
Right.
I didn't know what I expected. Like, I understand, but I didn't understand. I saw myself differently. I thought I was with the family because we use that. I thought these were my people. And I was like, this is going to be hard, and I will submit to whatever discipline, whatever. But I didn't plan on never talking to anyone again. To this day, it didn't make any sense to me. There was a couple smatterings but as far as like the people that I confided in and trusted the most, it's not right or wrong. That's just the facts of what happened. Was I still to this day have never talked to anybody from the church that Laura and I gave our whole lives to, and absolutely, we brought serious problems with my actions. I get that, but I just didn't see it coming. And so people ask me how I handle it now, and I say it happened for me. Because had I gone back into that stable, it would have been the same stable restoring me. That had a lot to do with how I ended up, it's my choices. I did it, but the soil and the functioning and the systematic way that the church that I knew functioned, I didn't see it then. I was so hurt. Like I just couldn't believe it. Bitter for a solid chunk of time. Bitter. Because I understood other people shunning me. But no, I mean, I thought I was a son of the house. So the thought of me kicking Roman out ever is beyond me.
Yes.
I just couldn't believe it. So when you talk about lonely, to me, it was so mixed, because I'm like, I know that I made some serious, horrific sin. And brought a lot of pain to this cause, to this church. But you're going to act like I'm not alive,
right?
Like you won't, like the no callback thing. So if I'm going, I was talking to one of our key pastors that I did lean on over the years, and he was talking to me right up until I had a meeting on Zoom with the elders of Hillsong Church and my pastor, and that's where I was told I was fired, and and it was a very abrupt call. That was all she wrote. I'd never talked to anybody on that screen again.
That was it.
That was it. And I've been a part of that church since I was 23 years old.
And your wife.
My wife, even before that.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't just you. It was your family.
My family.
Your kids.
And it's not, again, this is not a judgment of, these are the facts. I'm not making a judgment on it. We're not owed a thing. Like people are like, I don't think I was owed anything. It's just an observation that to me is a harsh, not a critique. It's just a fact about the way churches right now function. I don't know what the right way is, Blaine, to be honest with you. People have asked me like, what do you do when a pastor falls? What should a church do? I don't know, but I know for sure I don't think total discarding is in the cards. I just don't believe that's okay. Yeah. And I never will. No. And there is a way to hold people accountable. There's a way. I know why now we look in hindsight. It's because there was a lot of people who were caught up doing a lot of things in Hillsong Church. So the last thing you want to do, it's not like there's like a bunch of pure people. Let's go get the guy who's, destroyed stuff and bring him into our purity. It was more about scatter, cover, and forget about this guy. He's done. How can we? That's the
Yeah.
posture my church took, was forget about him. He screwed us. How can we salvage this
Well,
beautiful brand?
That's it. Yeah.
How can we salvage this beautiful brand?
Yes. It's the brand. It's the money.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be an anchor.
Yeah. Cut him.
Cut him off.
Cut him.
Yeah. And so I think maybe restoration of pastors works better without a big brand. But I may be
Perhaps.
wrong. But
Yeah.
I
If it's legit though, Blaine, if you have a big brand, it can be a big advertisement for
Can
what
do.
restoration can look like.
Yes.
So as much as there are complications because it's a big brand, well, if it's a real brand, it's like, hey, you saw us when we shined.
Yeah.
Here's how we handle when we don't look great.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Here's how we handle it. Here's one of, so I got to think, and I was in the spot. So when people talk about empathizing, there are a couple moments where I was not able to empathize. I have not been able to empathize with my friends that cut my family off because I've just never done that. So to walk in there, I can get it. But even when it comes to a church setting, still can't picture somebody who was a part of a team that fell. I can't picture, the highway being God's will. I just can't.
Yeah. No,
It's my podcast. I can say whatever I want.
It isn't. It isn't. I think that's why when I went through the story of Lazarus, interesting enough, the Lord pointed out one particular, just kind of something you can miss. It's in the next chapter 12, and it says the Pharisees and the Sadducees sought to kill Jesus and Lazarus. So think about that.
Love that. Yeah.
That the religious crowd was ready to re-kill somebody who had already been dead. Like, that's the religious crowd.
Yeah.
And the Lord said, Blaine, don't ever think for a moment that you're going to live the rest of your life in this resurrected life without snipers.
I have found that it could feel like the Christian community as a whole, as we know it, is far more interested in destruction than resurrection. And I'm not just saying that as a thought. From my own personal story, they were gloating, covering incessantly, especially the Christian publications, every bit of every detail that was true, untrue, didn't matter, just cover it. There has not been a single inquiry from a Christian publication about, hey, by the way, it seems like your family's still together.
Really?
You guys, not one.
What?
Not one. Think about that. So it's almost like they were disappointed that we made it.
Yeah. Wow. That's unbelievable.
So it's like, I remember there was one big publication. This lady said, I guarantee you within 6 months, Carl Lentz is going to lead a church again. Watch. Well, it's been a long time. I have not seen this journalist come back and say, I need to amend my story. I was wrong. Nothing. And it leads me to believe that as much as we want to prop ourselves up as people who are of the light and of the hope, there is a world where we can highlight things. Not that I need it or care. My point is, do we give as much love? You know why? It's not as clickable.
That's right.
It's not as much fun to click on an article about a faithful pastor in Stillwater, Oklahoma, who has stayed married for 50 years. Kids have went through various challenges, and the church is solid. Nobody wants to read that. But I'll read a story about the guy who had a double life and how bad that is, that we have conformed to the pattern of this world.
Yes.
In this regard.
So true.
You found that to be true as you've watched all this stuff play out over the years?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's almost like the Lord has given me a brand new group of, I wouldn't even call them friends, but just like brothers in the trenches. That some of the ones that, I feel like some of the ones in my past were actually on some level hoping for the worst.
Yeah.
And were maybe even hopeful that I'd never return. I'd never show up again. And I'm certainly not doing what I used to do, nor do I want to. I'm not pursuing anything other than just obedience in the work that I do with men and pastors and marriages. But they would rather I wasn't here at all, and it's fine. You learn to just live daily in the following of Jesus and the picking up of that cross. And just like, when you know what it's like when you lose everything, it's nothing else really affects you. Oh,
it really doesn't.
It's like, that didn't hurt that bad. You don't know how bad I've been hurt. So
some variation of this has been said to my wife and I. Y'all are doing too well.
Mm.
You're doing too well. The inference is that I want you to suffer more.
Yes.
And once you see that for what it is, it really gives you a way to boundary that and give grace, because there are people, it wouldn't matter what we did, they're still angry.
Yeah.
And I had somebody come up to me and they apologized, which is always a weird way to start a conversation with a stranger. Hey, Carl, I just want to apologize for, I was like, I didn't know that you were saying terrible things about me. So it's like, okay.
Thanks, yeah.
I feel bad now, I feel good again. He was like, to watch, you represented everything in my Christian worldview that hurt me in the past, whatever, and I'm sorry. And it's very sweet, but it opened up another thing again where we realized, like, there are people who are like, y'all shouldn't be that healthy. Like, you can't be like talking about how life is good again because of what?
Yeah.
And you find out, and if you walk people down that line, I always say, what you're trying to get is you have a specific set of consequences that you wish that I would sit under. Can you tell me what those are? Because they can't clarify. Well, it should be what? It should take longer. We should be more volatile with each other. I shouldn't have life in my eyes. Would you like me to look more sullen?
Yes.
Like, what would suit your desperate need to make sure that I've suffered enough to live again?
Wow.
And when you see that for what it is, you can hold it one of two ways. You can get bitter, or it can make you better.
Yeah.
And I have consistently, it's been hard you just look at people and you go, you know what? I got to live again. Did you ever feel like at some point, I remember the day I kind of picked up my head.
Yeah. I do too, bro.
Yeah, it was one of the kindest moments that I felt God's presence. Was it was in Florida, just a random day. And I just felt like this like compulsion to lift my head and to breathe. And I realized that up until that point, I was in a spiritual and physical position of just shoulders in, spiritually, head down. And I just felt like it's time for me to lift my head. And now I feel like I can spot it now, and I can look at other men and say, hey, can today be the day where you lift your head again? Because you've made your mistakes, you've admitted your sin, and you're trying to walk forward. Do you want to pick your head up? And I don't. I actually am starting to believe that it's a real. I blame this on you, Blaine. I blame it on you being so awesome to talk to. It's a real part of my calling. And I don't know if I'd know how to do it like I'm able to do it right now if I hadn't felt that shame. Yeah. It's one thing to have someone tell you to pick your head up, but it's another thing to have a guy saying it who has just as much a right to never pick my head up again and look another person in the eye because I violated so many things I believe in. But I remember the day. And now people are like, how do you handle criticism? I'm like, bro, I shouldn't be here. You really think that your little snide comment is going to rock my boat? Do you understand the waters that I was in? Yeah. I'm good. Say what you want to say. Comment what you want to comment. Yeah. TikTok hate how you want to TikTok hate. I promise you, I'm playing with house money.
Yeah.
I got my wife, got my family. I'm sober. Say what you want to say. Yeah. I am never going to live another day with my head down. I'm not doing that. God didn't save me again so I could live in some weird prison that you want to subscribe from you. Not doing it.
Yeah.
If God hasn't condemned me, you will not.
Beautiful.
And there's something in there that lifts your spirit.
Yes.
You don't have the power to condemn me, to shame me. You don't have it. So let me just take that somewhere else. That feeling. And I feel like when I talk to you, you understand it.
I do. Don't you love how quickly Peter got over his shame?
Yeah. Brother.
He's like cussing out teenage girls.
Cutting ears off.
Cutting ears off, denying Jesus. And then I'm ready to preach. Like, that's beautiful in some ways. Like,
do you know who lifted his head?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right.
He had every opportunity to sit there and just say,
sheep.
hey, man, like, let's talk about what you did. He just asked questions.
Yeah.
Lights on. Proud to partner with Plana.org, an organization built to help people deal with the unexpected, from moms trying to give birth by themselves to people handling issues where they don't know where else to turn. Plana.org is a one-stop shop for people who need help. They have an amazing app that's going to become available very soon, but even right now, you can check them out at Plana.org. Get more information about this amazing organization that is fitting and filling a need that is so desperate. Have you ever wondered, where do you turn when X, Y, and Z happens? The unexpected. Plana.org is created to give people hope in the darkest hours. So check them out today. Plana.org. We love you.
I remember, Carl, when that moment happened for me, someone encouraged me to start this practice, and I've since found out they call it Coram Deo. It's acknowledging the actual presence of Jesus, coram corpse, physical presence of Jesus. And so they encouraged me to just invite Jesus into the room when I was ready for moments with him, to encounter him in prayer. So I got in my office one day, and I'm alone, and I have some time, and I just closed my eyes, and I invited Jesus into the room. And I just waited. And this has never happened again, but it happened. As my eyes were closed, I saw him walking towards me. And the next thing I saw was he was at my feet. And I looked down, and there was a basin of water, and he grabbed one foot at a time and began to wash my feet. And I'm freaking out. What is he doing? And he kept looking up and not saying a word. And finally, he toweled them dry, set them down, and looked up again, and then left. And I had 3 impressions that will never leave me from that moment with Jesus. Is, first of all, you are clean. I've washed you, Blaine. There is no more sin. It is gone. You are clean. Live like it. And then he said, or the impression I had was, you are my follower. I'm recognizing you as my disciple. Live into being my disciple.
Wow.
And then he said, do this the rest of your life. Go and wash feet. That is your calling. Whatever the job looks like, whether it's speaking, writing, coaching, whatever, just wash feet. And I think the most beautiful part of it was just getting up and knowing I was clean. And Jesus had washed me. And I could walk out of that door knowing that I was a beloved son of the Father. And I didn't have to avoid people anymore. I didn't have to, like you said, hold my head down. That somehow I could live this resurrected life and not apologize for what Jesus has done, and not what I've done to recover or will myself back to.
Seriously.
So,
and if you watch this and you live shamed, let me remind you that if God has forgiven you, why would you waste another day? Why? You have the right to pick your head up. And I know that there's somebody that's hearing this that desperately needs to feel that. I mean, you don't have to have a famous platform to feel the pain of that kind of shame. That's a lie. You could be unknown in your little world, whatever, but people, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't look at your kids in their eyes, start today. If you've done things in the past and you feel bashful, don't feel bashful. God restores, he renews, move on, lift your head. Like, to me, that's the biggest crime of humanity right now, are Christians, faith people who live with shame. Because I feel like it's the destroyer. And that's why you have dedicated this chapter of your life to the eradication of shame. Because I know at the rehab I went to, they would end the serenity prayer with, we lift our eyes from shame to grace.
Wow, beautiful.
And it was just beautiful. And these are guys who don't subscribe to the Jesus thing, whatever, but everybody's saying that, because from shame to grace, there's a lot of power. There's a lot of power in it. I think if we look at addiction for a second, because every addict I know deals with shame because it's terrible. Like, it's hard to explain to people. Like, I got the low-hanging fruit for me was hotshot guy, big platform, womanizing, the stuff people say. But when you're in the trenches with people, you understand it's not what it looks like. If you want to say that, cool. The truth is, the addictive road is so filled with shame and loathing and pain and loss and paying bills. It's like getting bills you didn't even know. That's like how I explain addiction to somebody. Have you ever gotten a bill for 20 grand and you're like, I didn't even know I spent this. And now you're scrambling? That's every day as an addict. Yeah. But you just keep doing what you do. What do you see? I think you might have even said this, like, addiction doesn't offer you something bad. It offers you relief.
Yes.
What did your addiction give you that made it so hard to let go of it?
The three greatest fears of every man, every woman, but for sure every man, because I can speak for men, are rejection, insignificance, and failure. We fear those, and we can't avoid them, Carl.
Rejection, insignificance,
and failure.
Failure.
And you will experience all three.
Yeah.
And what do we do with those when we feel rejected as a 12-year-old boy that is abused sexually by a boss? How do we live with that? What do we do when we're an 8-year-old boy or girl and we get called albino or whore or whatever on the playground, and that name is put into your soul, and you begin to live into an identity that you didn't ask for, trauma that you didn't ask for? There's insignificance, and then there's failure. And so addiction is responding to those fears with temporary relief. Because in that moment of taking, too much alcohol or illegitimate sex, or whatever it may be, a pill or a drug, in that moment, it is gone. And for me, I can tell you that when you're in a pornography fantasy and you're engaged in that, you feel completely wanted in that moment, your soul. When you're engaged in an affair or an encounter sexually with somebody, you feel completely wanted. It's temporary, but I can remember thinking about, going to places or spaces for random encounters, and it really was never even about the physicality of sex as much as it was, what is it going to be like to be held, to be wanted? Yeah. And so in order to overcome and to conquer that addictive space in my life, it wasn't about finally summoning the willpower to finally say no. It was like, okay, how does Jesus want to heal all those wide open, gaping parts of my soul that need love, approval, acceptance, healing from past rejection and hurt and trauma? So I did a lot of that work, and there was a lot of deep work to be done. And it's amazing when the healing finally comes and you finally can forgive and be forgiven, how the weight of that temptation just diminishes.
It changes.
I think I might have said this to you when we were having coffee, but The weight of sexual temptation 16 years ago was like a bullhorn in my ear every morning. I would wake up and like, I need. And now it's like a whisper outside a door. I acknowledge it's there, and I'm not stupid enough to think that I couldn't fall again.
But it's not that bullhorn.
It doesn't carry that weight or that power anymore because of the healing.
Yeah. You know what? I think personally one of the dumbest things we say when a pastor falls is he had a moral failure. I always got a kick out of that.
Mm-hmm.
A moral failure, as opposed to your failure, which was still moral.
Yeah.
So we've got a special box for moral failures.
Yeah.
And then you double down on it by not understanding. And this is what you learn in deep recovery, not the surface stuff, but you find out the difference between will and brain chemistry.
Right.
Will are the people who look at people who have a road like mine. They're like, that guy just doesn't, he's undisciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not consistent. I'm extraordinarily disciplined in about 97 other areas.
Yes.
So it's not a matter of discipline. It's a lack of spiritual discipline. You find out not so much, because I prayed more as an addict than I do as a sober man.
Yeah.
You start looking at these things and you come across this chasm where you're like, okay, I want to do the right thing. I love what I say that I love. There is will, and then there's brain chemistry. This is where I think the church has to grow right now, because we are still praying for people, which we must do.
Yes.
But we're acting like if they could try harder, they'll get this.
Yeah.
So you got pews, rows and rows of men who are sitting there hiding because they think they should have been through this by now. And then your logical conclusion is, incorrect as it may be, is that, well, I must be a really bad follower because all these other guys are kicking their habits. And I've been looking at porn steadily since I was a kid, and I just can't get over it. So then the shame begins.
Yep.
And then you sit there and you shout down a preacher, but you go home and you're like, if I could have as much faith as that guy, maybe I'd be more pure.
Right.
This is a lie.
Yeah.
It's like somebody who needs glasses and they just live with blurry vision. Because they feel like my eyes have to change. No, man, you just need glasses. There's something wrong with your eye. Mm-hmm. We don't think about the brain like this.
No.
Only in the church world, mind you. Everybody else is on the page. Yeah. It's like, but in church, it's like, this guy over here, he's a moral problem.
Yeah.
Is he really? Yeah. Maybe we just missed it on some things.
Right. Yeah, and like how did our brain get so jacked up, and why are we thinking in certain pathways, and how do we and Jesus, if you're a follower of Christ, how do we change those pathways to find new ones? And that was a big part of my work. Was
the biggest part.
Yes.
I can't speak for you, but for me, the neural pathway rewiring is my job. Yeah, it's my full-time job.
I love it. So tell me if this resonates. What I found out was there was this gap between inspiration to be somebody.
Yeah.
To be different, and transformation. I found the gap was bridged by something that I just refer to today as sacred rituals.
Yeah.
So you begin to adopt these daily, weekly, or annual rituals that slowly over time begin to change the way you think.
Yes. And
thus the way you live and the way you do.
Not only does it resonate, that is my life. And I'm able now, as you have done in far greater numbers, to be able to tell guys, like, if you're waiting for this big transformational moment, it's never going to come.
Wow. So good.
It's like anything else in life, but when it comes to neural pathway building, my man, you're going to have to work so hard at this. So you might just not want to do it. I'll just save you the time because you're already kind of hesitant on, like, do you know what it takes to change a neural pathway? Right. Think about how powerful it's been in your life. You love to look at other people have sex on a screen all the time.
Yes.
That's a neural pathway.
And you've done it for a decade or two.
For decades.
Yeah.
So logically, to see that happen in a better way, this way, it might take more work. But my gosh, imagine the fruit of it. Mm-hmm. So if your neural pathway right now is set up in a way where it's just leading to pain, the good news is that you can change it. You can rewire it. Have you seen this to be true for men that try?
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell me about that.
One of my mantras with guys is when they come in for our intensives at House of Resurrection is one of the first things I tell them is you don't stop something by stopping something.
Beautiful.
You stop something by starting something new. And so the idea, I mean, if you want to get super scriptural, the idea that Paul said, walk in the Spirit and you won't fulfill the lusts of flesh. And walking in the Spirit wasn't some mystical being led. It was the fruit of the Spirit. If you will learn to love, love will displace lust. If you learn to live into peace,
correct,
peace will displace hurt and pain and rejection. So that's everything is, what am I going to do ritually, routinely, reflexively every day that will rewire the way I think about myself, the way I think about God, the way I think about others. One of them, here's a ritual in my life. When I would see a woman in my old life, she was a target. Literally, my head would go into ratings, 8 out of 10, 7. I mean, it was awful. They were just there for my consumption. That was wired into my soul for some reason for decades and decades, and I had to unwire that and rewire. So the unwiring wasn't now seeing woman and somehow I was like, oh no, she's not that. She's not a target. She's not a target.
right,
she's not.
Right.
The rewiring was I began to have this rhythm in my thought life that I would literally sometimes say out loud. She is made in the image of God. She is made in his beauty. She is worthy of dignity and honor. She is a daughter and not worthy of being a pleasure target. I just started to say
over
that
and over.
Again and again, every single encounter with a female. And over time, that's how I live today.
That becomes who you are.
It's exactly who I am today. And I don't even have to go through that rhythm anymore. It's almost like just
automatic.
the way I think. It's a new pathway that didn't exist before that I was able to wire into my thinking.
You hit on what I could say. I think it's the most transformational piece of real recovery. I just had a conversation yesterday with a friend about this. I believe it's not as much about what you're leaving as much as it is what you're walking into. In most relapse, research shows it comes at a point where a guy had sobriety, but what he didn't have was a thrilling vision about who he was becoming.
Beautiful.
Which leaves you with this, like, I'd rather go back to than nothing. Yeah. So what has shifted in me so radically, and I like to, especially young guys who are always like, I got to stop lusting. It's like, bro, relax for a sec. Yeah. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Here's what you must do. You've got to start living.
Yes.
Start loving, start leaning. And then let's talk about your, like, I didn't wake up today and go, I'm not going to cheat on my wife today, and I'm not going to look at porn today. Right. Day 7.
Yeah.
No porn. I'm not going to. No, I woke up today and told myself exactly who I am.
Yes.
And I get that from who God says I am. And because of that, it dictates everything I'm going to do. And then I don't have time, I find. Some days will end, I'll be like, I didn't even have time to do my temptation fighting tools because it wasn't present.
Right.
It's like I didn't have time to get to my phone to do that. I didn't have time to entertain a conversation because my life is filled with stuff I love.
Yeah.
And often when it comes to porn and sexual shame and sin like that, what you find congruent is a lack of vision.
Yes.
And you don't have to have just because you have a big profile doesn't mean you have vision.
Yeah.
I like to be able to tell people that, like, I was very lost at times, and I had a life that people would think would be for sure filled with vision, and it was, but in my soul, I didn't really understand some things about myself, and it left me in a spot of indecision, which is neural pathway. Bam, I'm done.
Yes.
And so I have found what you just said to be so beautiful, because if you are struggling and fighting through something you don't want to be as you listen to this, my question is not, what are you not going to do? Mm-hmm. My question is, what are you doing?
Yes, that's it.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I think where people get messed up on vision, like you had incredible vision, Carl. I mean, building this incredible, beautiful church in New York City, in the heart of a lot of evil in New York, and all this good coming. What I discovered about vision is vision and purpose wasn't as much about my career as much as it was about a vision for the man that God called me to be, the husband, the father, the friend, the son. Yeah. If we can capture that and go after that, and then the career, it'll all work itself out.
Yes.
But that's the base, I think, the baseline, that no matter what kind of work you're doing, like I live if there's one little vision I have, I live with the dream one day that my sons will stand at my funeral and say something really good about their father. My dad really screwed up when he was 50, but I have followed him ever since, and he has been a good father. He's been a good man. That's my vision today. And I get to do a lot of other things and a lot of other work and a lot of other accomplishments, but that's what I'm living for. And that's a vision that'll take you to the end, right?
Blaine, I can't, at some point I want to get to my notes the next time you come, but I cannot say it any better, or I haven't seen it phrased like that, but I look back at my life and I'm not sure I ever unentangled me from the church I led. Like it was always hand in hand. Now, what I do is such a non-starter as far as like I am working on being the healthiest, most dynamically alive version of myself. Yes. I'll take my chances with what that produces.
Yes.
I talked to a guy the other day, I want to be Forbes 500. Awesome. Let's go to the right for a second. Who are you? Right. You didn't, I heard what you said. Like, what kind of man would produce something like this? That when you got it, you didn't lose it or didn't kill you.
Right.
That's our aim.
Yes.
And we live in a world that people are obsessed with what they do. You and I know the truth that what we do is a symptom of how we feel, and how we feel is a direct byproduct of what we think. So if we get this layer here, my gosh, what might the future look like for people trying to, let me end with this. I want to ask you this question. When it comes to all you've seen, disaster does not have to be the reckoning moment where you change. You and I don't have that luxury.
No.
But we're going to stand on it. It did for you and for me. We would say that's our story. But we would both stand on this table to say you don't have to let it all burn to find out what matters. I hate when people make that assumption. It's like, no, I have to deal with the cards I dealt myself. But what can a person do that is in the area of danger, but maybe it hasn't, somebody listening right now, and they got some private habits that are cooking. That's how I would describe some of my private habits. They were simmering.
Yes.
And life will turn that heat up. And before you know it, what was just a warmth, it's an inferno.
Yes.
How can we safeguard our lives or begin to live in such a way where, especially when it comes to, let's talk about men for a sec. What can a man do to make sure he's healthy?
Yeah. So good. Well, I'm fortunate that, like you, just because of my past, I've had so many men come to me. And surprisingly, I have probably more men in their 20s and 30s and even in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
That are already finding some form of bottom in their life, whether it's depression or sexual addiction or some other addiction. And my challenge to them is, first of all, full-throated confession and disclosure to those that can help.
Okay, beautiful. Agree.
That's what changed for me ultimately.
Same.
It wasn't just that I hit rock bottom. I wish I would have done that full-throated confession when I was 30 instead of 50.
Yeah.
Because it would have been just as hard. It would have been just as painful to admit to the way I was living and the things that I was hiding. And I would have felt just as much pain.
Yeah.
I don't think there's like levels of pain. I think pain is pain
Right.
when you're experiencing it. So that would be it, is like, don't keep it to yourself. Go to somebody that you have implicit trust in and share your whole story, for better or worse, and say, where do I go from here?
Yes.
And be willing to share that with the people that you love the most, whether it's your spouse or with your children.
Yeah.
It was very important for me to get honest with those that were all closest in my life. I met with my children. I met with obviously my wife. I met with my trustees and my friends that were close. And I think a big part of the resurrection recovery in my life was actually Carl feeling their hurt and their pain.
Same.
It poisons addiction and lust when you feel the weight and the pain of others, and they deserve to know. I mean, these are people that have given their lives for us. But when you feel the weight of their pain, it changes you. It does something so deep inside of you that you never want another human being to ever feel that again.
Ever.
So
Ever.
That would be first step.
So I will double down on that. I believe it's the most pivotal step. So if you're watching and you're listening right now and you have some deep-seated secrecy in your life, step one to a potentially powerfully healthy life, find somebody you trust and get it out.
Yes.
It means way more than you think it does. And that's a beautiful place to start. And Blaine, you are a good man. It's impossible to be around you and not feel encouraged and not feel like welcomed. And so I just want to acknowledge your grace and the hard, arduous work you put in to not recover, but to resurrect not just your own life, but men like me who have gleaned from you, and men that currently, right now, as we sit in the state that we love, there are people that you have made a home for that are being restored right now. And you are a beautiful example of what happens when people remain contrite, humble, and powerful. And so I look forward to talking to you more. Thank you for coming. We didn't know what we were going to do here other than just talk, and I'm really, really glad we did. And I hope you come back. Tell people where they can find out. And for you wrote a phenomenal book. There's resources for people. Can you let people know where they can check that out?
I would just start with our website, blainebartel.com or houseofresurrection.life. The book is worth a read. It's honest. We sent it out to, it's my story, as candid and real as it is. It's called Death by a Thousand Lies.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a Christian publisher that would touch it because they said it was too honest.
Of course.
So,
of course.
So it's on Amazon, and it's helped a lot of men especially. So just Google, you'll find us. Yes.
Yeah. And if you are a loving, perhaps wife, girlfriend, and you're listening to this, share this with them. Just don't even give it any context. Just send them the episode of This Light's On. You never know. It could be a stick of dynamite in the best way. So thank you. I'm really, really honored to be your friend. I'm proud to be your friend. And I love you. Thank you.
Love you, brother. Thank you.
Until the next time.
Right on.
To be continued.